there, but I've had a couple folks ask about the dial-in. I also, little laundry list here I wanted to go over on late this afternoon. I will be pulling the name out of the hat, so to speak, of the winner of the free registration to Sage Summit that's being held in Las Vegas. Odds are pretty good for those of you who've already put your names in. There's about 20 people so far, so that's pretty good odds of winning. Not that I'm trying to put a Vegas spin on that, but those are pretty good odds. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, when Sage was in here a few weeks ago, Connor Ash was chosen as the partner, preferred partner that day, and we won 2 free tickets to Sage Summit. Registration only. This does not include your airfare or hotel or any other expenses, but from what I understand, that registration cost has gone up quite a bit, so it could be a good save for somebody out there who's going to win this lucky ticket. Anywho, that'll happen late this afternoon. I will, send out an email at the end of the day, let you know who the winner is. Okay, so let's get started with what we're going to talk about today, which is the Custom Office Customizer module. Now, most everybody has the Customizer module. We've talked about this in other Tech Tuesdays. If you don't, please let me know, because Sage is doing a little special thing right now. I believe it's still going on, that if you didn't have it in the past, they're kind of giving it away for a very short time period, depending on the number of users that you have. So if you do not see Custom Office on your menu, please let me know. We actually had a user, actually 2 users recently that didn't see it, and we got it out there for them so that they can use this really cool tool. So Custom Office is the last menu item on your menu bar. And specifically today, we're going to be talking about this customizer selection. Now, you can actually go into customizer selection to do these changes that we're going to look at, but I'm actually going to do it from the module, because I think that for some of us, it's very difficult to find out what panel, when we go and look at customizer selection, what panel am I supposed to be changing? For instance, if I open up my accounts payable here, this is easy to choose. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can choose there, but oh my goodness gracious, what do I choose here? Okay, so let's make it a little easy on ourselves, and let's go right to the module that I want to change. Now you're saying, well, Sue, what would I want to change? Well, sometimes there are various things that you either A, don't want on your screen, B, don't want your users to touch, or C, you just want to make things stand out a little better than what they do now. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my Additional tab, and actually, I'm sorry, I'm in Payables. I meant to go into Receivables. Let's kind of take a step back and do that again. I'm going to go into my Additional tab here, and I don't want this to say Sort, and I want to use this field for something else. Now, here's the thing I'm going to tell you right now. 1, yes, you can add fields to your screen, user-defined fields. We've talked about that in another Tech Tuesday. 2, we can change names of fields. We can sometimes change what the fields are used for, and sometimes we can't. So what does that mean? Well, I have some fields that are reserved, like for phone numbers or maybe email addresses. Some of them are locked to a specific type of field. Now, I happen to know that my sort field is a text field. So I can change this field, or I can put different data in this field based on what I want, because it is a text field. So I don't want it to say sort. I wanted to use it for something else so that my employees, when they're keying information in, go, oh, I want to key this type of information in this field. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click out in this gray area, and I'm going to go to Panel Settings. Remember, power of the right-click. We talked about that before. But I'm going to go to Panel Settings, and I'm going to open Customizer. So this is just like going to Custom Office Main Customizer Selection. Now, you'll note here, I've got my name and initial, my initials and my company code in this box. Now, I'm going to modify this. That means there's an existing modification on my screen. Now, I can also tell that there's a modification on my screen very easily by seeing this asterisk right up here in the upper left-hand corner. Anytime you see an asterisk on the screen, it's modified. Okay? That's very important. Now, if I wanted this for all users, I would click on this Create New Panel or New Customized Panel, and I'm going to do a click here. Maybe I want it for all users, all companies, and that's how I would choose that. But for right now, I'm going to just do this modification just for me. Now, keep in mind, if you have your own modification and then your users have, you want a modification for all your users, when you go in to see that modification, you won't see it, because if you have your own, that's going to trump an all, okay? Just keep that in mind. So if I didn't confuse you too much there, I'm going to go into, clicked OK, and I'm actually going to open up the Customize panel, or the panel that I want to customize. Now, what I said is I want to change the name of the sort field. So I'm going to right-click on my sort field, and I'm going to call this Customer Tier. Okay? I can change the font. I can change the size. I can change the colors. Now watch what happens down here in my preview when I change my colors. I want the text to be red, and I want my background, I want this thing to stand out, so I want my background to be yellow. I can also come over here to my attributes. I can bold it. I can box it. So I can put it in a box. I can change my justification. Do I want it centered? Do I want it right justified? What do I want to do here? Now, I'm also going to click on my Options tab. And on my Options tab, I can change my width, because as you noticed, I'm cut off here. So I can up my width until my full word comes in. So now I'm going to hit OK. And you'll notice it kind of gives me a little preview of what it's going to look like. In order to save this, I'm going to go to my Customizer toolbar over here, and I'm going to click my Save button. Looks like a little diskette for those of us who still remember what diskettes look like. It's a little diskette, and it tells us that it was saved. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and exit out of it, and I'm going to go into Customer Maintenance so you can see what it looks like now. And there's my customization. Kind of, flies out at us. It's with it being bold and in color. Now, I also want to go back in. I want to say one thing. Let's say I wanted to do something with this field here, the actual field that holds the data. I've had a client say to me, gosh, Sue, this field, hey, I love the fact that I can change the name, but now I want to make this field, instead of 12 characters long, I want to make it 20. Well, guess what? You can make that field as long as you want. You can draw it all the way across the screen. But that field is programmed for 12 characters. So if it's an existing field that you would put data in, the program knows how many characters it has to be. So you cannot increase the width. The only way to do something, where you're going to add more data is do a user-defined field, okay, that you can add data to and make it as long as you want it, okay? While we're in here, let's say, for instance, if I was in customer maintenance, maybe I don't want this credit limit showing. I don't want my employees to see the customer's credit limit, or better yet, maybe I don't want the salespeople to see the credit limit, right? So what I can do, I'm going to right-click on here, and I'm just going to go to my main tab. I'm going to go to that panel, and here's my credit limit field, and I'm going to right-click on the field, and I'm going to go to Options. One of my options is Hidden. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say, okay, now that was the text field. Now I'm going to right-click on the data field and choose Hidden. Now notice this one has a lot more things that I can do. I can change it to uppercase. I can disable it. I can lock it. I can make sure it's borderless. Sometimes people will ask me, can I make it required? Well, guess what? This is what I'm doing when I say no. I'm coming here and I'm seeing, do I have a field where I can say required? Okay. So once again, I'm going to save that. And I'm going to go ahead and get out of my customizer. And I'm going to go to customer maintenance. And you'll notice now it's gone. I can, if I have set up groups, I can do that customization for a specific group. Now you say, well, what are you talking about, Sue? What do you mean groups? If we go to Library Master Main and we go to User Maintenance, and let's pull myself up as a group or as a user, I can create a customization group, managers, salespeople, CSRs, whatever. So I can actually do that customization for anybody who is assigned a code in this group, and then they will only have that customization. Now, there's no lookup box here, so I have no magnifying glass, so it's not a table. It's something that I'm keying in there, and then the system will look at that when you do your customizations, okay? All right, so we've hidden a field. We've changed a field. I got more tricks up my sleeve here. When I go to the Invoices tab, there's a lot of stuff on this screen. But you'll notice I don't have anything in discount due dates. And there's no dollar amounts in here. I don't offer discounts. So I don't want to see these because, maybe I want to see what else is here. But then again, do I care that people see terms codes here? Do I care that people see the salesperson? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Okay? Can I make this screen big by using my maximize button and then I don't have to worry about it? You can see all your fields? Sure, I could do that. But you know what? I just want to take off the fields that I don't need to see. So once again, right-click, Panel Settings, Customizer. I'm going to do this customization for myself, or I could do it for the whole company. And it's going to open this panel, and you go, oh, great, Sue, got a blank panel. What am I going to do with that? Well, we're going to right-click, and we're going to go to Format. And look and see what I've got here. All these fields that I can do different things to. I can change the width. I can hide it. So here's my discount date, my discount amount, terms, salesperson. If I have job cost, I can hide the job number. If I had created a user-defined field on my invoices, whether they're sales order invoices or accounts receivable invoices, and I wanted that to carry over to this panel, I could click the Add button, and I would actually see those user-defined fields here if I had set them up properly. But the Add button also shows you any other field that you may want to see on that grid. So keep that in mind, too. Now, once I click on OK, and I save it, and I click OK again. Now I'm going to go ahead and go out. I'm going to go to Customer Maintenance, and I'm going to go to my Invoices tab. And notice that those fields are now gone. It helps the clutter. It helps not being, having to see all of those fields, being able to see just what you need to see, what's important to you as a user. And yes, you can set these up as individual users. Maybe I want to see it one way, but my user wants to see it another way. We can do that. Okay? So that's a kind of cool tricks. You can do that in the sales order screen. You can do it in the PO screen. Any of these, screens, vendor maintenance, inventory, all of these screens can be customized. So play with Custom Office a little bit. We can always undo it if we need to. But it's a great way of being able to use fields for different things is I have a lot of clients. Oh, here's a prime example. Let's look at sales order. And we have a lot of fields on the sales order screen that we don't necessarily use for what they are meant for, like this FOB field. I have people rename this field all the time and then be able to put data in here because it is just a text field. Maybe this comment field we're using for something else. I can rename this text field here and then use this for whatever I want to. So, get your wheels turning. Think about different ways that you can use this custom office in order to modify your screens to make it easier for your users to navigate. Okay? Now, that's what I have with Custom Office. Now we're going to do a very basic thing with Crystal. A lot of people, we need a lot of different reports, and sometimes the actual report is, I'm going to stop. I have a quick question. Are these modifications saved with upgrades? And the answer is most often yes. And I say most often because if they have done major screen changes or program changes, which is what was happening for these last couple of years, Sage was actually rewriting the program, and they were doing a few modules at a time. So when we were doing upgrades, we were actually losing the custom office screen changes, and we had to put them back in. But that's done. They're not modifying any more programs. So when you go to 4.5 to 2013, 5.1, or 5.0, or 2014, which is 5.1, those screen modifications should follow. However, I will tell you this. When we upgrade and we have screen modifications, we do have to go into Custom Office, we have to go to Utilities, and we have to update the panel. Sometimes if you do not update those panels, the modifications will not show, and quite often you'll actually get errors. So yes, they should follow along as you do your update process at this point in time. Okay. One of the things that happens is people ask us for Crystal reports, or they hey, this report will work perfectly for me, but it has too much of this on there, or I don't like the way that this looks, or whatever. And one of the big things that when people went to the version 5 is you'll notice that on the aging report it appears to be double-spaced. Well, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. The reason why it looks like this now is because this invoice number can now be up to 20 characters. You'll see how long, when I hover over this invoice field, how long that field actually is. So in order for Sage to get everything in on the report, they had to basically move the rest of the data to the next line. Well, for some of us, I now have a 30-page aging report rather than a 10-page aging report. So what do? How do we fix that? Well, any of the standard, and this is what I'm talking about right here, any of the standard reports can be modified. I highly, 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 highly recommend, though, don't modify the standard report. What you do is you create a new report using the standard as your template. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here and you're going to click your down arrow and you're going to do a save as. To me, that is our #1 step. So we're going to call this our aging, and we can decide, is this going to be in my default report, or is it one that I'm going to choose from? Now, you noticed a little bit ago when I clicked on the magnifying glass, I had a bunch of them out there, so I obviously have been playing a lot. I can make it, either way around it. I can make it public, I can make it private, I can make it read-only, but for right now, I'm not going to make it my default. I could, at this point, click on Designer. I can click on OK. It becomes one of the reports that I can play with. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pull it back up, and I'm going to go into my Designer. Now, this is the point that freaks a lot of people out, because Crystal's going to open, and you look at the screen, and you go, oh, my goodness, what do I do? Okay. Start with Crystal, start with these standard reports. Once you save them off, You know, if you mess them up, you just delete them and we start over again. That's why I say don't mess with the standard. There's several sections to the reports. You have your page header sections, and a lot depends on how the report is sorted. You know, remember back on our other screen, I had sort options, and I could choose whether to, include all my aging categories, et cetera, and that's why we have so many of these. I have group headers. I have details, depending on, different things that I have, you may want printed on the report. I have group footers. But what I want to do is I don't want this section to be so wide. I don't want 2 lines. Now, the biggest complaint that people have right now is that the font is too small. So I could make the font even smaller, squish these guys together, and then get it all in one line. But I don't want to do that because it's already too small. So I'm going to look at this. Now here's a field. I'm going to hover it over. This is my discount due date. I don't get discounts from my vendors, so I'm going to highlight it by clicking it, and I'm just going to hit the delete button. Gone. Okay? Now this is my whole payment. I don't care if that shows on my report. If I'm holding payment for an invoice, I'm going to delete that. And then here's my discount amount. Click and delete. I could also right-click on it and choose delete from there. Okay? So once again, I have these titles up here. Here's my discount amount. I'm going to delete that. Here's my whole payment. Let's see if I can get to it. Sometimes we've got to move these a little bit. There's my whole payment, and click. Okay? It's just not real hard, right? Now, I want all this kind of a little bit more mushed together. Here's the balance on my invoice, so I can move this baby over. And, of course, I'm going to move the title over with it. And then maybe I want these 2 fields. Now, I can move them one by one, or I can highlight them. I can use my little right, oops, sorry, let me get up there. I can just drag those over here and move them. Okay. Now, sometimes we have to align the bottoms when we move these things, so I can highlight them, hold my Shift key down, and then if I know which field I want to align to, I'm going to right-click on that particular field and say Align Bottoms, so that I know that they all line up. Now, how do I get all these up here? I can move them one by one, or I can click, highlight like I just did, so they're all selected, and then I can move them up. Okay? So now I've got all this space here. Well, I'm going to take out this little anchor, and I'm just going to push this up. Alrighty? And then I'm going to save it using my Save button. And then I'm going to close it. Actually, I'm just going to go ahead and exit. So now, if I want to print the same report, voila. So that wasn't too bad. It's a little scary, I know, a little scary, but doable. We had a situation the other day that a client needed a field added. Sometimes we have to add a table to one of these. So if it's just cosmetic, that's a little easier. When you start adding tables, a little bit harder because you've got to get joins and everything working properly. Okay? So I suggest you start with the cosmetic ones first, making your changes. I already know I'm looking at this and going, oh no, this isn't right, because see here, I've got my invoice balance here. So I didn't take out of my totals that discount. So once, I'd go back into Designer, and I'm coming down here, and then I would find that discount amount here, and I would take it out of my totals. And then I'd move my fields over so they all line back up properly. So then I could just grab this and move it over. If I wanted to leave that there, I could, or I can move these over. I could do it one by one, like I said before, or I could, and I got this one down a little bit too low. Not too hard. This part's easy. The scary part is adding tables. So I just wanted to intro that to you so that you could see, yes, it's doable. I can make those changes and, you know, not be kind of as leery of Crystal as we have been. Okay? So hopefully that'll get your mind going on some Crystal stuff that you want to experiment with. One of these days we're going to do one on designing a report from scratch, a little harder. But the easiest thing is if you need a report and we can use one of these as your basis, that works very, very well because all the fields and all the tables are already there. All right, bonus round. We all love the bonus round, and what little trick am I going to give today? What we're going to do is we're going to right-click. One of the things that happens is that we find that most of the time we only go into 3 or 4 different things, right? So some of us use this My Tasks. I don't, but that's another thing that I can show you how to do another day. But you can actually set up My Task, or you can just put the ones that you use a lot up here. And most people are like, what are you talking about? Right-click, Add Task. So if I go into constantly, I am in customer maintenance. I just added that up here. So I can click and boom, open customer maintenance. Some of us, what I do is I put the tasks that I use the most up here, and then maybe I'll pull my screen back so that I only see this part of my menu. And then I can just go into the task that I use, and I still have the ability to get to all my other icons down here. Okay, here's another thing that people don't realize. Add program. Now, I happen to know where my Office products are. They're in my Office 14 here. And I can come down and say, okay, I want to add Excel. Because occasionally, I need to jump into Excel when I'm in my accounting program. Click, bada bing. There we go. So you can add buttons to your screen here just by right-clicking and going to your task and adding what you do most. This is great for salespeople, our salesmen that we only want in order entry and we only want in customer inquiry. We add these 2 tasks up there, and boom, we got it. So hopefully you enjoyed that bonus round there, and you'll be able to use that. That is all I have today, unless people type out any other questions. Melissa, thank you very much. I appreciate the fact that you're getting something out of this. I do have another question here. In accounts receivable, when you customize a field, do you need to change that for each individual customer, or can you carry it over to all customers in one swoop? If you're customizing a field in accounts receivable, payable, anywhere, you're customizing the screen, so it's not for a particular customer. So you'll notice here, I don't have a customer in here, but my changes are on the screen. So it's system-wide for me as a user, or for all users if I chose all users, all companies. A lot of times what I do, and keep this in mind, when you're customizing a screen, a lot of times I will do it for all users and especially all companies, because I love to have test companies out there. And if you do not do it for all companies, these changes will not be in a test company. And then that makes testing harder sometimes because your screens will look different from one company to the other, so keep that in mind. But anyway, if you have any questions on how to use Customizer or different fields that you can add, once again we talked about, we've done user-defined fields where we've added fields that didn't exist on here. We've actually added tabs so that we could do our user-defined fields on tabs. But Customizer is a very powerful tool. Does a lot of really cool stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg, as they say. I hope that your wheels are turning and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. We can even change tabs. how people tab through a screen when they're doing order entry. Keep that in mind. So sounds like you guys have gotten, based on the feedback we've gotten so far, you guys have gotten a lot out of it. I just want to wish you a good day, and look for the email later on this afternoon to see who has won that free ticket to Sage Summit registration. And any ideas that you come up with that you want me to discuss, please send me emails. Enjoy. I'm glad you guys were able to make it today, and have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.